Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to call to order the regular meeting of the Cupertino Disaster Council. Today is Tuesday, June 30th, 2026, and the time is 1:01 p.m. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's conduct the roll call, please.
Disaster Council Member Hard.
Here.
Disaster Council Member Connolly.
Here.
Disaster Council Member Mosley.
Here.
Disaster Council Member Sander.
Here.
Disaster Council Member Yu.
Here.
Disaster Council Member Wu.
Here.
Vice Chair Moore.
Present.
Chair Kapoor.
Present. Thank you. I appreciate everyone taking the time to be here today. As we know, preparing for emergencies is definitely a team effort. And today's meeting is an opportunity to share updates, to discuss our priorities, and continue the work to keep the community prepared. I'd also like to take a moment to introduce our new emergency coordinator, Justin Lin, who's here attending as a member of the public today. His first official day is July 15th. Thank you, Justin. We look forward to working with you. And when you are officially part of the team. And this is a great update for me to be able to share today, because we will have someone full-time in the city to bring the expertise and leadership for our emergency management program. So if you get a chance after the meeting, please introduce yourself and say hello, but you will be on board July 15th. I'd also like to briefly explain how the Disaster Council differs from the Public Safety Commission, because that was a question that came up recently. So the Disaster Council consists of city leadership and representatives from emergency response organizations and serves as the city's coordinating body for emergency management and disaster preparedness. The Public Safety Commission, on the other hand, is a volunteer advisory commission made up of residents appointed by the City Council that reviews the public safety matters. With that, I'm going to take us into the first item on the agenda, which is approval of November 17, 2022 Disaster Council meeting minutes, with the recommended action that the body approved the November 17, 2022 Disaster Council meeting minutes. Are there any comments or questions or corrections? Seeing none, may I have a motion to approve the November 17, 2022 Disaster Council meeting minutes?
Moore, so moved. Second.
Clerk, would you please conduct a roll call vote?
Disaster Council Member Card.
Yes.
Disaster Council Member Connolly.
Yes.
Disaster Council Member Mosley.
Yes.
Disaster Council Member Sander.
Yes.
Disaster Council Member Yu.
Yes.
Disaster Council Member Wu.
Aye.
Disaster Council Member Vice Chair Moore.
Abstain.
Chair Kapoor. Chair Kapoor.
I was not here. 22, do abstain or?
You may abstain. You may also vote.
I will
It's-
abstain.
Okay, the motion carries with Moore and Kapoor abstaining.
Thank you. Our next item is the approval of October 30th, 2025 Disaster Council meeting minutes. Are there any comments or corrections? Seeing none, clerk, let's conduct a roll call vote, please.
Disaster.
I need a motion to approve the October 30th, 2025 Disaster Council meeting minutes. Thank you.
Moore, so moved.
And Chair, just to note there, I have not seen any members of the public wishing to comment on the last item or this item, so I will note if I see anyone.
Okay, let's conduct a roll call vote.
Disaster Council Member Card.
Yes.
Disaster Council Member Connolly.
Yes.
Disaster Council Member Mosley.
Yes.
Disaster Council Member Sander.
Yes.
Disaster Council Member Yu.
Yes.
Disaster Council Member Wu.
Yes.
Vice Chair Moore.
Yes.
Vice Chair Chair Kapoor.
Yes.
The motion carries unanimously.
Thank you, clerk. Are there any postponements?
No postponements, Chair.
Now we go to oral communication. So this portion of the meeting is reserved for persons wishing to address the disaster council on any matter within its jurisdiction that is not on today's agenda. Clerk, do we have any requests to speak?
Chair, I have no request to speak virtually or in the room.
We have no old business, and we'll move on to new business, which is the presentation of the draft City of Cupertino Emergency Operation Plan Policy Chapter. The city is currently updating its EOP through a comprehensive planning process with the assistance of an emergency management consultant, Widow Bryan. Today, we will receive a presentation on the draft policy section of the plan and an overview of the project timeline before opening it up for any discussion and feedback. With that, I'd like to welcome Michael Contreras, Emergency Management Consultant with Widow Bryan.
Thank you. I'll move up to the chair here. So my name is Michael Contreras. I am with Widow Bryan Consulting Company. I am assisting the city of Cupertino with the development of the new EOP or the revised EOP. Just a little background. I have over 30 years of experience in emergency management. I was the director of emergency operations for LA County Public Health for about 14 years. So I have a lot of experience. I also did a lot of this in the Air Force. My colleague, Doug Main, who's sitting here with us, he has a lot of experience as well. He was the state of Hawaii emergency management director. So in between ourselves, we're working with the city of Cupertino in developing the new plan for the city. So with that, I want to begin by with the presentation here. And so we had an introduction. We're going to talk a little bit about the policy section. So as noted by Ms. Kapoor, the Disaster Council is essentially a policy group that helps to develop policy for emergency management. So the section that really I wanted to kind of go over with the Disaster Council today was emailed to you. It is the policy section of the plan and discusses how some of the policies for disaster response. And then talk a little bit about the public comment and city council approval timeline, the timeline that we have for the project, making sure that we're meeting the needs of the disaster council and the city. Next slide, please. So first of all, our project, of course, is to revise the city of Cupertino's emergency operations plan, which we've begun in earnest. Right now, our timeline began in February. We're actually running out till October of this year. So to give Justin an opportunity to take a look at the plan and also comment on Mr. Lynn, comment on the plan. So we wanted to extend that out to October. So we'll be doing that. Our progress to this point is the plan is nearly complete. Yesterday, we had an opportunity to meet with Mr. Toma from Santa Clara County OEM. We got a lot of great information about how the county operates and how it integrates with the city. We also met with Captain Valenzuela from Santa Clara County Sheriff, and he provided us with a lot of great information, his staff, and we're really appreciative of those two organizations for assisting us in this project. Next slide, please. So the first piece we want to talk about is what we call the policy chapter, which is the policy of the city of Cupertino as it applies to emergency management. You notice that we have residents up here. I don't know if you all have taken a look at the copy that was distributed to you. If not, can you bring it up, the policy section? Thank you.
Let's see. Are you going to?
It was an attachment
I
to
can open it, but I'll lose this presentation.
That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine. We're just going to use that as the.
Back. And here it is. Slight delay.
Mhm.
Here we go.
So this is an excerpt from the plan. It's for your review and comment. It is a draft, of course, so there's going to be some changes in language as we anticipate. The first element that we want to talk about, this is residents of Cupertino. The first thing, I think that one of the things that we've heard from Ms. Kapoor, Ms. Kawarsha, and the folks here in the city is the importance of making sure that the focus is on the residents of the city of Cupertino. So the first comment in here is about the residents of Cupertino. We want to make sure that we're emphasizing this plan, the emergency management organization, the structure, the responses, the recovery elements, anything that has to do with emergency management is focused on the residents. That's something that was very clear to us from the very beginning of the project, and we want to make sure we emphasize that. It's a very strong thing that we see here at Cupertino from a consulting standpoint. These are the key priorities: the protection of life, protection of property, safeguarding the environment of the city, safeguarding the economy of the city. There is one language change that we'll be including here, and that is to include for the residents that they should be prepared to have 72 hours of being self-sufficient before the emergency operations can begin. So we're going to be adding that language to this policy element. You'll see that for the residents. That's going to come up. Okay. We talk about the role of the city council, the elected officials, representatives of the residents of the city. I think the biggest piece here is that last comment, the last words here in this paragraph. They advocate for the residents of the city. So as they're reviewing emergency management structures and policies and organizations, their role is to really take a look and think about it from the residents of the city perspective and advocate for those residents. Next, or let's scroll down a little bit. We have developed a new element within the plan. It is the senior policy group, which is comprised, as you can see here. We'll show you a quick graphic on that. Senior policy group during an activation will providing guidance and coordinate or oversight of the responses, and they really are the senior leaders of the city during an activation of the plan. There's more detail on that in section 6 response, but we wanted to make sure that you had an opportunity to see this. And again, anytime you have a comment on any of these things, a question, please feel free to let me know. Okay. The disaster council, we kind of added the disaster council in here, and basically we just essentially went off of what the Cupertino code is and California code. Keep going down, please. Oh, there is, oh yeah, right here. Here's the role. There is one change that was recommended this morning in our meetings with folks, and that is regarding that third sentence, the approving body for policies. The change is going to be that the disaster council will review and recommend policies. So that's going to be one of the changes in the language. Any comment or question on any of that? No? Okay, we keep coming down. Here's the members of the Cupertino Disaster Council. As we know, we know who these folks are. And we also had the disaster may include representatives of civic, business, labor, veterans, essentially this is taken straight out of your code. Okay, and we also recognize the role of the city attorney in this. Okay, if you keep coming down, please. Senior leader intent. This language is going to be changed to city manager's intent. So this is Tina's intent for the plan. Establish policies, city of Cupertino have the emergency management program, which will do these things. We'll change this language so it's more relevant to the context of the title change. This here is I call this senior leader's prerogative, but it's city manager's prerogative. One of the things that we brought up with Ms. Kapoor is that a lot of times when you're in the middle of an operation, you have to make decisions based on what's going on. There could be changes that need to be made that are outside the plan. You need to make a change to the plan on the fly. So the senior leader always has a prerogative to be able to do so. We want to make sure we include that in the plan so it's clear to everybody that prerogative exists. We can deviate from the plan. Okay. And then the next elements are these were taken straight out of your general plan. And these are all the various emergency management policies that pertain. And I'm not going to go too much over those, but you can take a look at those in your general plan, and you can also see them in the excerpt that you have there. And anywhere within the context of the emergency operations plan, where we've written a chapter, you will see us relating back to a policy. We will always link back to one of your policies. And that's essentially, please go down to the bottom there. Kirsten, thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, keep going. So these are the policies of the city. We talk about legislation that govern the emergency management program. And then we go into the roles and responsibilities of the Office of Emergency Management. So these are the things that Justin will be implementing or be responsible for as he activates his or begins to operate his office. Okay, please keep coming down. And that's it?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's essentially the policy chapter of the plan. That's the opening chapter of the plan that really sets this tone and the standard for the plan. Is there any comments or questions that we have from the Disaster Council? Any changes that are recommended?
Thank you, Michael. Any questions or comments from Disaster Council on the presentation today?
Looking at policy number HS 2.2, promote emergency preparedness. We do a great job with the CERT training, but it does say information will be provided through CPR and first aid and CERT training, but we seem to be a little light on the CPR and first aid. I know staff has that, but for members of the public, I'm not sure we're meeting that. And I don't know if we do have the publication of monthly safety articles in the Cupertino scene. Maybe we do, I'm not really sure. And also it mentions the city's emergency preparedness website.
Mhm.
I know we have a lot of pages on our website. I don't know if that is meeting that requirement. And then video and printed, because I haven't seen this before, I haven't looked at it carefully. Video and printed information at the library. I don't know what that would be, or if this was part of your work to kind of audit if this is being done at this time. So I'm just curious about that.
Yeah, so I believe that anything you see where it's in the policy section that was cut from HS2, that's out of the general plan.
Right.
I believe. So we do have a section within the context of the plan called community preparedness, where we address some of the elements that need to be accomplished to be able to meet that policy. And some of those things, and we just had the conversation this morning, is about things like CPR training and CERT training and who has a responsibility to carry those out. Those are the kind of things that we've discussed in community preparedness. And also that element of communications is also discussed in that. How we go about communicating, how you would go about communicating with your residents regarding community preparedness. There was some discussion on that. We'll have, when you see the final, or not the final, but you'll see a draft plan, you go to community preparedness, you'll see a lot of those annotations. A lot of that stuff is going to be in conjunction with the county. One of the key elements of this plan was to make sure you were aligned with Santa Clara County to the maximum extent possible. It makes it a lot easier for everybody if you're all singing from the same sheet of music.
Right. Okay. Now going back to the rule 4.2, you made a change. I believe you said the approving body was that the disaster council would make recommendations.
Review and recommend policy, plans, and procedures. Yes, ma'am.
To the council.
The council would get, the council would be able to review plans, policies, or procedures,
Okay.
and then make recommendations on that.
Okay. So I did, through the use of AI, did do some comparisons between Cupertino and how other cities do things. So the council's really hands off entirely, and then we have my role on the council, and then things come to the whole council for approval. So there is quite a variety of processes that other cities are using, which is kind of interesting. But I'm wondering if there is something that needs to be changed here with the last sentence for 4.2. The disaster council will be the approving body for policies, mutual aid agreements, and community preparedness initiatives. That seems almost to conflict with what you.
I think we had that conversation this morning with Ms. Kapoor, and I think what we're going to do, that language is being changed over to the city manager's office.
Okay, so
Yeah.
that would be the.
Yeah. That's another change. And again, I would offer that. I know that there's a lot of ways that different communities use their disaster council. It really is up to Cupertino and how you feel about. I will make the comment that one of the things I do note with the city is a lot of strong community engagement, strong resident focus on the residents. So how you want to operate that is up to you. Our role is to capture it, put it in the plan for you, and make sure that it's something that Justin can work on getting implemented.
Okay, because that seems to be internally conflicted between the statement that we have here, so that the disaster council will be the approving body for policies, mutual aid agreements, and community preparedness initiatives, and you're saying that that's going to move to the city manager's office, so that takes that role from the disaster council away. And then it also says the approving body is that the disaster council makes recommendations, but that's no longer going to be true if you're moving it to the city manager's office. So will all of these potential changes be going to the city council as a whole to have a conversation about? Because it is my preference that the city council be made aware of this, because the way it's written now, that there can be policies, mutual aid agreements, and community preparedness initiatives that are done that the council has no awareness of, because that approval would be done through the manager's office.
Right.
And that's not very transparent.
Yeah, I believe it's totally, however you want to operate in Cupertino. If you believe the city council has that role, then that's a discussion the disaster council needs to have. And if you, whatever language you feel like needs to go in there, we're happy to make those changes for you. We want to reflect your practice.
Right, so, yeah, I think if there's going to be policies that are made, so council's supposed to be involved with policies. If there's gonna be policies made that are gonna affect the residents, that could be different from what we're doing presently, then the council should know about it. That, yeah. So I think these changes I would expect would all be highlighted when this goes to the city council. And is this gonna have another stop at the council, the disaster council first? Okay, and then it'll go to the whole council.
Yeah. So today we're only talking about the policy section because we wanted to kind of, well, the policy section really sets the standard or the base for the plan. And then from there, we'll dig into the operational components. But if you, and I think it's important that, if there's any other comment about that, does anybody feel any differently about the role that you're bringing up now? I mean, I'm bringing this kind of up to the disaster council because I kind of feel like you guys are telling us.
Well, for this, with regards to, for policies, if I take it to an extreme, you say you have a policy that the wealthiest in Cupertino are going to be attended to first. Okay, and we're going to make that policy through the city manager's office, and the city council doesn't have any awareness of it because it's allowed to be done at that level. So I'm going to give you the most extreme. That could be done
I agree.
as an example of be careful, with taking away your ability to have insight as from the council into policy changes.
And I'll defer.
Yeah, and I think one of the discussion points, which is, we wanted to bring here is the policy that's written in the disaster council is, the intention is only activates when there's an emergency. So in an emergency situation, do we want to give the city manager the authority to either tweak or take action without having to go to council to approve if any change is needed? So that's kind of one thing to keep in mind, and we could word it so it's clear about the intention, but it's not to circumvent or short circuit the council's policy making role, right? So that's something to think about for this body.
Yeah, I think that making sure that this gets to the council, it would be good. And I don't know if there are policies about equity, and this first that crossed my mind was seeing this, like, well, what's the worst that could happen? And I do see that the other cities, some of them completely defer everything off, like Santa Clara, it seems like that's what they're doing there, to the emergency management office entirely. So yeah, so as long as this gets to the council so that we're aware of it, and that issue of equity and all that, if that's buried in some policy that we already have, then I think that addresses it perfectly. And it is not council's intention to get in the way of disaster management at all. It's just to, you understand my fear about that. Okay.
Did you want to share?
Good.
So this policy document is part of the overall EOP, which that's why we're focusing mostly on the policy document here to bring additional eyes on this. And we would do the same thing when we go to the next meeting of disaster council, and then the entire EOP goes again to the full council for adoption. So this is helpful feedback.
It is an interesting intersection between council makes policy, but here's an area where it's going to be a little bit different.
Yes.
And I do want to add that within the context of the plan, we developed a feedback loop where residents would be able to feedback to the council during an emergency. So the residents are actually feeding back in, they're giving feedback on the response itself to the council members, who in turn, through the senior policy group, would be able to influence the guidance that's going to the Emergency Operations Center. That's how we built that in there as well. I wanted to kind of make sure that you were aware of that, so.
Okay, that's good. 'Cause, yeah, I've got a sister-in-law in Houston and some
Right.
of the way they dealt with their levies, it
Right.
looked like they were protecting certain properties.
Yes, yes, and I think that was one of the key reasons why we put that comment about the advocate for the residents. We want to make sure we give the residents an opportunity, an avenue, if you will, as the response is going on, they have a voice still, regardless of that there's an incident, but they still have a voice.
Yeah, okay.
Mhm.
Any other questions or comments on the presentation?
Chair, we did have a timeline in the presentation that we may want to share.
Yeah. That's,
Timeline for when
yeah.
the EOP is
Go
coming
back to the
back.
presentation, yeah. We do have we just want to cover the timeline for the plan, for the completion of the plan, completion of the project.
Oops, started me back at the beginning.
Mhm. And so this is the general timeline. We're hoping to have a draft completed by 14 July. Kismet or fate or purposeful planning. The next day, Justin starts, so that's the reason why. We want to have that draft completed for him by the 14th, so we can get his comments and start including them. Review and editing by 30 July. So Justin, I know that you're here as a member of the public, but we're just going to say the USC person, we're kind of looking for them to give us some comments back on 30 July. And then we will review the plan with the State Public Safety Commission sometime after that. And then we will come back to the Disaster Council with the final draft version that they'll be able to make comment on and recommend for approval by council. And then we'll be forwarding to City Council for review and approval after we're complete with that portion. Okay, I think that's the last slide. Yep. Any final thoughts or questions, sir?
Yeah, following up on Mayor Moore's questions, I mean, I think part of the issue as I'm looking through this is the interplay between plans and policies. Because I think it is appropriate for, the council to weigh in on policies, and
Mhm.
part of the plans are really part of those policies. So it's
Right.
sort of a chicken and egg sort of
Yeah, it
question here.
is.
So,
Mhm.
but in all events, there's going to be development of a plan that will incorporate some policies, will come back to this body. And then after we fine tune it, it'll go to the council for further input.
Yes, sir.
And then once that's done, then as is done with the council now, then it delegates to the city manager or to implement those, certainly in the event of an emergency.
Mhm,
That's
mhm,
just
mhm.
the flow of the process.
Yeah.
And obviously this makes sense here, just given the makeup of this body, it's all the department heads, that's what typically is done anyway. So I think that's a good point you raised, but for me, it's just sinking into, the
Right.
weeds of what the plan
Right.
actually will say.
And you are correct, sir. A lot of times when you write plans, there are things that are written into the plan that end up becoming policy, if you will.
Right.
And so there's like that, it's a fine meshing of the two.
And this document, you say review and comment, are you expecting further review from this in writing to you?
Yeah, if you don't mind. We were going to ask the questions here today. I know my colleague is capturing the information, but if you have additional comments or questions, please feel free to email me back with anything that you have on that document.
Is there a timeframe which you want those?
I would say mid-July, about the time that Justin, the new ESC comes on board. Let me put it that way.
Thank you, Michael. I would now like to open the public comment period. Clerk, do you have any requests to speak?
Chair, I see no requests virtually or in the room.
Thank you. This item was only for discussion and feedback, so no motion is required.
Thank you so much for your time and attention. Thank you.
Okay, we move on. Our next item is the Santa Clara County Office of Emergency Management Report. I'd like to welcome Louis Toma, and Senior Emergency Manager with the Santa Clara County Office of Emergency Management.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here today, and definitely want to congratulate Cupertino on filling the ESC role. I know the individual you picked. The two counties have worked with each other for years, and I think you guys made a great pick. So happy to rising tide lifts all ships. So happy that his success will be your success and vice versa. And it'll help us in the county as well. So thank you. Yeah, you can. So just real quick, I think it's been a little bit of time since we've been able to attend to this degree. So I wanted to just give you a quick layout of our office. This is how we're set up, and our planning and training and exercise team are going to be combined into one team. This is just for better efficiency, a more holistic approach. We found that you write plans, you want to train and exercise them. If the two teams nobody really works in a silo in our office, but we find that if they're more synergistic, we're able to have more success and more involvement. So other than that, it's pretty much how we're set up. Next slide, please. So I wanted to also share that and just a few months ago, we became EMAP certified. This is, I don't know if anybody's heard of certified emergency manager, but just as you can become a CEM, a certified emergency manager. Emergency management offices can also be certified. We would be the third in the state of California, not counting the state of California themselves. And we are the first emergency management office in Northern California to be EMAP certified. So, we're obviously very proud of this accomplishment. It's one that we have to continue to work towards. So it's not easy. And it was definitely time constraining, but letting you know that it allows us to be able to have a little more validity when we're here supporting you in any kind of disaster. So sharing that. Next slide, please. Thank you. Won't spend too much time on this because it's not really affecting the city of Cupertino, but one of our successes is that it's not really affecting the city of Cupertino. What our vision was that the cities, jurisdictions, communities we serve that don't know that there's a soccer game going on in their area don't have to. We wanted to make sure our communities were safe and served and supported. And we're hoping for the most boring outside of the stadium World Cup we've ever had and will ever have, and continue in that capacity. So while it has been a great opportunity to engage a lot of partners like our sheriff's department that's here, and to have opportunities to advance ourselves in this kind of emergency management response. In fact, as I'm talking about, good practitioners, Marta from your city also came and joined us on one of the activations so she could learn and bring stuff home. So it's been a good opportunity all around, and I'm glad it has not bothered our served community here in Cupertino. Next slide, please. One thing I do want to talk about. So this is our situational awareness tool, our common operating picture tool. I don't know if anybody in the room has heard of WebEOC. That was our previous tool. So what this tool does is, so it was first framed as kind of an online emergency operations center. How we utilize it is in a number of ways in order to reach our jurisdictional partners when a crisis happens. For resource requesting, if there's needs, for situational awareness, also if there's needs, but for us to posture to best support, and a myriad of other ways. Our EMS partners and public health partners use it for bed count. And, I could have a whole conversation about it and would be happy to if anybody wants to offline. We had a product, WebEOC, that lasted actually, I think it started in 2008. We were never fully happy with it, but it's kind of what everybody has been using. During COVID, we had a lot of resource requests for masks, PPEs, needs from our partners. And that system did not do what it needed to do. We really had to have backups. It didn't work out the way we wanted to serve. Now, granted, that was a large and perhaps hyperbolic example, but at the end of the day, we want to know if something a disaster happens, we can support our communities, Cupertino being one. So the county, despite, you know, budget cuts and everything's going on, we made sure that we purchased it for every member of the Santa Clara County operational area. So City of Cupertino has their own account. It is paid for by the county, not by the City of Cupertino. And we want to make sure that the City of Cupertino, if they have resource request needs, if they want to give us situational awareness because they need support and we don't know what's happening, this is the tool they're going to use. And we're providing and have provided on-site training. And that's always an option more so. So that is one of the counties give to the city, and it's really a give back to us. It kind of helps everybody all around. You know, and it creates really a more holistic approach to response. And we're not the only ones that are utilizing this product. Alameda County has moved. San Mateo County has moved. I want to say another one in our region, but the aim is to know that all our other county partners are using it. So if we ever have to go support or they come and support us, everybody's on the same page when they get in front of a computer screen or whatever it may be. Thank you. Next slide. So as already mentioned, and I won't go too far into it, but I've been working, we've got the opportunity to meet your great team yesterday and work on the emergency operations plan. We created an operational area jurisdictional model of kind of what we wanted to see, and it was great that your representatives with O'Brien were utilizing that as a resource so we can all be on the same page. You know, I know it came up just a moment ago, and I actually wanted to double check. Yeah, I wrote it right. About equity, and you know, we did go over the AFN portion of the plan yesterday. They showed it to me, and we discussed. And the state of California specifically, and forgive me, I think it was January 2021, Assembly Bills 1638 and 2231 were passed, and they focus on whole community approach, AFN, equity, those kind of things. And not that any of us are against this, but we don't have a choice, even if we were. That has to be legally mandated in your emergency operations plan from it, but also the way it's written. You know, it has to, you know, the font, the color, all those things. So, and the Cupertino emergency management team and contractors were, you know, that was their vision as well. So it was a successful endeavor. We spent a lot of time yesterday just working things back and forth to ensure synergy between the city and the county. And although it was a lot of time spent, it was good time spent. Everybody was on the same page. That's always good to say. You know, I didn't want to leave that meeting and go to my leadership and go, I don't know what Cupertino's doing over there. We might need to have a talk, you know? So it sounds like it's on the same page, and we can't wait to see the finished product. Next slide, please. Thank you. Wanted to bring up another document that we've kind of been on a product hiatus since FIFA started, but something we intentionally slid in right before, just in case, heaven forbid, something were to happen, is our new recovery operations plan. It's kind of in the past, such documents have been annexes to our emergency operations plan, but we felt that this was more of a standalone document. And our vision here is obviously lessons learned from every disaster that we've faced over, since the beginning of the office. But, in 2020 specifically, COVID wasn't it. You know, we had the SCU complex fire. We had, a number of other things. Santa Cruz area had their complex fire in which we had to support them. And so we took lessons learned from those opportunities and from our deployments. You know, I went out to the Tubbs fire, Paradise, a lot of fires within, our state region, and taking those lessons and implementing them. And we hope that this plan kind of serves in the same way that the EOP jurisdictional model did and continues to, in that it will provide our served communities like Cupertino the opportunity to utilize pieces from it to speak to, restoring essential services, addressing economic situations, physical infrastructure, and a lot more. So that definitely wanted to make that known to the council here today. Next slide, please. I just would not be doing my job if I didn't mention Alert SCC because it's very important to us, and it is another product that the county Everbridge is the back end provides to the city because it's important that everybody is either prepared or aware when a disaster strikes. Just like, County Fire provides Genesis for well, all our served communities. We find it important to have that synergy between Alert SCC and Genesis because despite unfortunately the costs that we all deal with these days, there's priorities when it comes to serving our communities, and Genesis, Alert SCC, and of course VOC, which we showed, are definitely in the lead of those priorities. Next slide. And I think that's pretty much it for me. I also have my business card if anybody wants my contact information. Any questions, today or offline, feel free to reach out. And just want to thank you for your time.
Thank you, Roy.
Mhm.
I will now open it up for any questions or comments from the staff council.
The recovery operations plan is it's generally for any kind of disaster or it's custom. I know fire is top of mind now, but right behind is earthquake, right? And that probably
Yeah.
presents some different other considerations for recovery.
Yeah, we've learned that, and if you go to our site, you'll see a lot of hazard specific documents, but we've learned that making things hazard specific, if you don't need to, sometimes is more of a hindrance than a help. Because at the end of the day, and we're not talking about a recovery plan where you have a small house fire, that family would be affected, right? But you're not calling in for all these processes and bureaucracies. We're talking the state comes in, FEMA comes in. What did they do? How do you deal with them? How can you be supported? And how, can you best communicate with them to get, the best things out of it? Now, thankfully, in those cases that I gave you, the county intervenes anyways, based on, state law, SEMS, the California Emergency Services Act. It's incumbent on us to be that intermediary, not as a speed bump, but as a go-between to make sure your interests are taken care of. But on the flip side of that, you also have to know the things to take care of yourself. And it's ideal if those are documented ahead of time as opposed to figuring them out in time. Debris removal is huge, and we're actually going to do an appendix or an annex to this plan for debris removal because these little things may cost the jurisdiction so much money. It's funny when you watch the news, you always see FEMA giving this nice check because this community was so hurt. They don't put it on the news when FEMA takes the money back with interest. You know what I mean? And then that county is that jurisdiction is more harmed than helped. So it's those little nuances that maybe if they're taken care of ahead of time. And it was a few years ago where there was a tabletop exercise done by the city of Cupertino. And I kind of had this conversation with the members of finance that were assigned to the EOC, and they got scared, but in the best way. The questions started pouring in. I was contacted afterwards. You could tell they were looking at city processes and protocols to make sure that they're not in those situations. So a plan like this, I'm hoping is beneficial to not only us serving the unincorporated county, but also parts of the county, but also work as a model for all the cities in the county.
So if I understood correctly from the prior presentation, residents should be prepared to be self-sufficient for 72 hours. Who is responsible for teaching them what they need to have? How much water, et cetera. And having taken the CERT program, we were actually recommended to have a little bit more than that.
Yeah.
Especially with regard to water
Yeah.
supply. But is that who's to train
So
them?
ultimately, it's incumbent on them as members of, our society to know how to take care of yourselves, right? But we are all in this room because we want to serve our communities, and this is why we have the jobs we have. So, Gracie, I don't want to misspeak. If CERT, I think, is the best way for those members to engage and learn that way. Is that a fair statement?
Yes, and I can provide that information in my presentation that since I'm next.
Yeah, and you know, we have outreach events. Cupertino OEM does, County Fire does, OEM does, where we literally share like I think the best message I ever saw, and we actually stole it from FEMA, was the message that, you know, people see hey, have your bag, right, and your water and all that, and they think it's a huge thing that I have to do all at once. And they kind of have a campaign where it's, and I don't remember the actual tagline, but it was one day at a time. And that kind of, what's that?
Do one thing.
There you go. See, that's why she's the smart one. And it promotes that way of engaging, and it doesn't make it, you know, I always like the statement, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. So it kind of reminds me of that. So while it is incumbent on all of us as citizens of wherever we live to look after ourselves, a lot of, especially the Cupertino community, which is awesome for us. It makes our life easier. Like when you have the different fairs, it's so well attended. And I actually am both happy and a little annoyed when I'm like, have you heard of Alert SEC? Oh yeah, here it is. It's like, oh, awesome. But it's like, why am I here then? But that's what's so great is the Cupertino community is so engaged that thankfully they know about this stuff and they look for this stuff. And if it's available to them, which County Fire and County OEM go out of our way to make sure it is, that's the best way we can think of to do so. I know I was on my soapbox for a little bit, so I don't know if I actually answered your question, but I hope.
Oh, it's good. I was just kind of thinking that with regards to the 72 hours, if there is some sort of video which shows that this individual prepped for that.
Yeah.
It could happen with the broken glass and all this, and here's what happened. And this
Yeah.
person didn't do anything,
Yeah.
and then here's what happened. I think that.
Well, ready.gov has a lot of tools, and
What?
ready.gov,
Okay.
and I'm sure I'm gonna be misspeaking and stepping on Gracie's toes. I'm sure there's a lot of resources that.
Website.
Yeah. Probably should have recommended our website.
Because the
Yeah.
the visuals really helpful to see
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Like
It was
the-
nice working with you.
Yes.
Yeah. So I have in the past seen a Stevens Creek Reservoir Dam failure plan.
Okay.
Is that something that would be residing on your website somewhere? or-
No, that would be more with Valley Water. However, it's a federal requirement that all dam owners have to make the county aware of those documents and ensure that we're signed off, that we're in agreement. So we have copies of those documents, but that's specific to Valley Water as it is their state and federal responsibility.
So maybe, I don't know where this question resides, might be a future agenda item, but I think this council should look at this failure plan once in a while, just to see that everything's okay, what the plan is.
Well, they also have their own very robust Office of Emergency Management. So either, I mean, you can invite somebody here, or also I'm sure if you just reached out to their duty officer and they could get it to the right people and get an answer to you sooner. They might say, hey, do you mind if we come over and present? Or they might say, oh, please see, they might already have something boilerplate to speak to it.
I had asked them and they said that that dam's in pretty good shape. It's not like the Anderson one that they're.
Yeah, that's a very unique situation over there down in South County.
Great.
And if I could interrupt, we do have on our website the dam inundation plan, and that was reviewed by city council back in 2012. So a while ago, but that
Okay.
plan was approved by city council.
Okay, great. I'm just gonna ignore everybody's website today, sorry.
Yeah. So maybe it's time for it to come back.
Any other questions? I have a quick question.
Please.
We developed our in-house little flyers for Alert SCC because we want Cupertino residents to be aware and be signed up. Are there any materials that the county may already have that we could use?
When we do our public outreach, we bring different materials. So I'll get you my card. I mean, I'm sure, and I can put you in touch with our senior comms officer and our comms officer, and I'm sure they can provide, because we have a lot of stuff at the table, and it's all beneficial. So,
There are a stack of the county provided Alert SEC cards at Community Hall, City Hall, and the library. I believe also at Quinlan Community Center.
That's wonderful.
And County Fire also has a lot of stuff too that I'm sure Gracie will talk about. Yeah. But and you're talking outside of Alert SCC. So yes, on County Fire and on us. And I think County Fire's probably got it pretty well covered, but I can still put you in touch with our senior comms officer to see if anything's not redundant versus superfluous, right? We'd rather be more prepared than less prepared.
Yeah, it would be good to compare
Mhm.
and.
Yeah.
Last year's materials, thank you.
Thank you.
Well, with nothing else or no other questions, we will move on to public comment. Clerk, do we have any requests to speak?
Chair, I see none.
Our next item is Santa Clara County Fire Department report on community education. I'd like to welcome Gracie Hernandez, Senior Community Risk Specialist with the Santa Clara County Fire Department. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Gracie and I work in community education and risk reduction services. I will leave a few business cards here for anyone that would like to be in contact with me. My update is about the classes that we are offering to all our cities. Specifically, we do have a wildfire preparedness workshop. They'll be here in Cupertino at Community Hall on July 15th. So this is something that I wanted to make sure that you are aware that this is happening in our community here. And we do have flyers available for everybody with Alert SCC on the back for all the residents. And I can also bring back any more handouts if you need more of any of these. So we have the wildfire preparedness workshops. We offer them in most of our cities. And we also have the CERT Academy, which I'm really happy to hear that you guys, oh, wow. Look at that. I'm so sorry. That I'm happy to hear that people are familiar with the program. There are many different, situations that we encounter where people are like, what is CERT? And I do see our CERT graduates. We have some back here and behind me as well. So we do offer this class. The next one will be in August, and this will be in the city of Saratoga. Now, for this year, we had to condense down our schedule due to staffing. We did hire one community risk specialist. That person will be in our office, hopefully, because they are still going through backgrounds. They should be starting in August and we'll be opening a second position. So that is good news that we will have more staffing to provide more classes. Another class that we're offering is the hands-only CPR. And Mayor, I know that you were talking about this class. We are offering it on July 22nd and September 23rd at our headquarters. But we are more than happy to come to the city of Cupertino and provide this class. And if somebody would be the point of contact that you can let me know, we can go ahead and schedule something sooner for you. Also, we have our adult safety courses. We have a crime prevention course in home fire safety. We have the fall prevention and wellness resources class. And I have developed a new class called the fire safety and home preparedness. This is letting the residents know how to learn essential fire safety practices, learning about kitchen and cooking safety, electrical safety, and how to operate a fire extinguisher, and how to locate their utilities. Because a lot of people we find in classes, they are not really sure how to turn off their utilities if there's an emergency, or even a situation that should arise where they need to go ahead and turn off even the water. For maybe there's a water leak in the home. So we want them to be prepared in every aspect, not just in emergency preparedness. So those are the classes that we are offering for the rest of this year. And we will have our new schedule out in January for 2027. It's amazing that we're already thinking that far in advance, but we always ourselves are prepared in getting our classes ready for our communities. Is there any area you would like me to have these? Or just leave them out?
I'll collect them.
Okay. Okay, sounds good. And that is the end of my report.
Thank you, Gracie. Are there any questions or comments from the disaster council? For Gracie?
I have one comment on the August CERT class that if you have to go to council meetings on Tuesday, this is like the only session that you can attend during the year that you wouldn't have to have absences for. So I've been highly recommending it to everyone that's interested in CERT training. Because this is the one, but I'm glad to hear that something's gonna open up Tuesday and Thursday nights during when council's in session becomes impossible. So if one day there could be a Monday, Wednesday class to see if that makes a difference, maybe that would help.
Absolutely. If you noticed in the schedule, we did reduce it as well. Because what we found is with a 3-week schedule, there's always a meeting. There's always something that maybe the community's volunteering for or working late. So what we decided to keep retention in our programs is to condense it down to 2 weeks. And we find that's been successful. Yes, when you took it, it was 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So I think that, that was a better mix of things because we are also the classes that they would be missing. They are classes that they can take by watching a video from previous recordings. And we're just omitting the ones that do not have a skill. So it'd be like the terrorism, for example, right? Terrorism, we know with certs, they don't have to do anything. They have to make sure that they are safe and stay away from that area. So we are just using that as an option just to watch as a video.
If there's there's a way for us to be more flexible and make it work for people, that kind of input would be very valuable. We do want to continue to make it much more accessible, flexible, because we know that like we learned a lot of lessons from COVID, for example, how we deliver that show up. So we'd be very open to fits the real world situations that we experience as individuals.
Absolutely.
I think that online option, so if you had like a Monday and then Wednesday, you can it would be online, yeah.
Oh,
That's
okay.
like a hybrid model for you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you, Gracie. I have a question too. So regarding your new course on the fire safety at home. This is clarification. I heard it's primarily like focused on kitchen and cooking. We had a question that came up that asked about safety around electrical outlets. Do you think that's covered through this class too?
Yes, it is. And honestly, so in one of the classes, we have the crime prevention and home fire safety, which basically just touches the surface. This other course that I just started is a deeper dive into that. And I'm actually taking a little bit of the CERT curriculum that we learned in fire safety, some of those components like hazmat and things like that, and how to just locate your shutoffs. And those things are really important. And I realized that they're only offered in CERT. We're not offering it as a basic course for all of the community, because not everyone can take the course because it's so long and they're not able to take it. But this class is an hour, it's a little bit over an hour. So I think we put in a lot of great information for people to walk away and implement these, safety tips for their home and know what to do in emergencies.
And this is an online class or in person?
These are all offered online for the adult safety. At this time, once we have our staff, we'll be able to go back in person. This is just a temporary thing.
To that point, so it was a question about talking about people who had immigrated to the United States and they didn't really know how much electrical cords they could daisy string on there.
Yes.
And I have to say, it doesn't matter if you're new here or not. I put an air conditioning unit in, through the wall kind, plugged it in, and our box, we had to upgrade.
Yes.
Didn't know at the time, but it was actually arcing. And we could have had our house burned down. Yeah, and so that there's like some basic education about your breaker box and what you can put on some of these lines, because I'm in a 1960s house.
Oh,
And,
yes.
yeah, so I didn't know better at the time. But when you saw the lights dim in the house, it's like we need some help.
Yes. Well, I'm glad that you're safe. I'm glad that you made that change. And that is a very important example that we see. And also with this class, I added in candle safety, because I actually used that surveys that I received, and we had people asking about, what do I do with residents? So these are more of like the apartment managers and property managers, and they're like, we have people using candles. And I was like, wow, people are still using candles. And, you know, a lot of people went to battery operated. So I was like, you know, we need to add that into the course. So every evaluation that I received, even when you took the you know, curriculum, I was able to get information and develop this course.
Excellent.
Thank you so much for your time.
I do want to share, thank you, Gracie, that the information for different courses and how to sign up through you guys is actually also in our Parks and Recreation brochure. So we
Perfect.
do have a section that says Santa Clara County Fire Department, the different kinds of courses you can take and where to go to sign up for that.
Thank you so much. And yes, we have a great partnership and I really appreciate it. And also I do want to offer that we do go out to special events and we host, we have a table for all the resources with all of these classes and other information. So please don't forget us, invite us to your events. We do a few of them per year, but I know that there might be other events where we can reach a bigger audience to give them the safety information. It's not just about our classes, it's about the resources for them to be safe in their homes. So thank you again for your opportunity and time.
Thanks, Gracie. Okay, I will now open public comment period. Do we have any requests to speak on this item?
No chair, no request.
You? Okay, our next item is the report emergency management roles and responsibilities. So emergency management is a shared responsibility, as we know, across city departments and our public safety department. Today's report provides an overview of the roles and responsibilities that support emergency preparedness, response, recovery, and continuity of operations. Members of the Disaster Council will each provide a brief overview of the department's role, followed by reports from our Santa Clara County Sheriff's Office and Santa Clara County Fire Department partners. And with that, we will begin with the City Manager's Office.
Yes, happy to start off, Chair. So the City Manager's Office leads the city's emergency management program under the direction of our City Manager. The City Manager serves as the Director of Emergency Services as well. So this office oversees the emergency planning, training, and exercises, as well as emergency operations center coordination, alerts, notifications, grant application. This is all done through the Emergency Services Division that will be supervised by Justin Lin, our new coordinator, as well as regional coordination and public information. City Manager's Office divisions also support the City Council and Disaster Council during emergencies, and they will coordinate employee staffing as necessary. Also through our Economic Development Division, business recovery efforts and outreach, and that as well as overseeing the community preparedness programs, which includes the CARES, which is the radio, volunteers, CERT program, the Medical Reserve Corps, as well as our Block Leader program, supervised by Marta Drown, our outreach coordinator, as well as the Neighborhood Watch groups, and then Ken Erickson, who is our CERT coordinator. So these all play an important role in emergencies. I do have, because we received a request for clarification for our communications cadence that goes out regarding emergencies. I do have Samantha Licurto, who is our PIO, to just provide a recap of what types of alerts go out for emergency prep and reminders.
Sure. So over the past year, the Office of Communications has sent out approximately 26 e-notifications through our e-notification gov delivery system to the public, and those have varied on topic from heat advisories, cold weather advisories, opportunities for trainings. So attending some of these trainings that have been mentioned, the Block Leader newsletter, and just other communications that related to safety, especially during weather events. In general, the Office of Communications provides timely, accurate, and consistent information to the public during emergencies. That's the goal. And we also facilitate media relations.
Great, thank you, Sam. And Chair, that concludes the City Manager's Office report.
We will move, I'm just gonna go down the table here. Tommy will provide an update on Information and Technology Department.
Sure. So the Innovation and Technology Department, primarily we maintain critical communications, geographic information systems, GIS, and information technology infrastructure that support emergency response and continuity of operations. We provide technology support for EOC, Emergency Operations Center activations, including network connectivity, cybersecurity, emergency communications systems, situation awareness, dashboards, incident management tools, and restoration of city technology services. So that also includes providing, emergency phones during activations, making sure the various resources, dashboards are up, and other various related communication tools. So part of INT.
Thank you, Tommy.
Sure.
And we heard earlier, City Attorney's Office provides an serves an advisory capacity for disaster council. So I'm going to move to Public Works. Chad, please provide us an update.
Not a problem. Public Works leads infrastructure assessment, emergency engineering, debris management, transportation coordination, road closures, traffic control and barricade deployments, utility coordination, facility support, and restoration of critical infrastructure. We oversee engineering support for emergency response operations. We coordinate with partner agencies and utility providers, and we support comprehensive damage assessments, infrastructure recovery, and post-disaster restoration efforts to help ensure the continuity and essential public services.
Thank you, Chad. Parks and Recreation.
Yeah, your Parks and Recreation Department's role is mostly care and shelter. So our team supports community sheltering, evacuation support of facilities. We are reunification sites, our recreation facility operations, volunteer support, community recovery services, and assist with any care and support services for affected residents.
Thank you, Michelle. Community Development.
Okay, community development, which primarily in the event of an emergency would be the city's planning and building divisions, would support hazard mitigations and perform damage assessments, something our building division regularly does with structures. Our department also is primarily involved with permitting and the environmental review process. So we'd be focused on looking at recovery permitting, rebuilding efforts. And in terms of post-disaster, we'd be looking at land use, housing, and development issues in terms of expediting any permits or any things to help expedite the emergency. And that's essentially it for us.
The Finance Department.
So the Finance Department largely supports emergency purchasing, contracting, and cost tracking. Of course, when there's a disaster reimbursement documentation, it has to be followed, and grant administration, tracking payroll, continuity to make sure our employees are being paid. We're maintaining a lot of those records with regard to our recovery efforts so that in the event that we're looking for reimbursement from the state and federal governments, we can acquire those things.
Santa Clara County Sheriff's Office.
One. The Santa Clara County Sheriff's Office is in charge of protection of life and property. Under unified command with all stakeholders, will be in charge of evacuation zones, notices, evacuation assistance, exit routes, and re-evacuation locations. Additionally, we'll safeguard any vacant property as far as it is safe for our employees. Also, we are here to help our public with public information and connection with stakeholders and assist all our partners in any support services needed.
You've got the Santa Clara County Fire Department.
Santa Clara County Fire Department is an all-risk fire agency. We exist to protect lives, property, and the environment from fires, emergency incidents, and disasters through preparedness, prevention, education, and emergency response. We work in collaboration with our response partners, that would be law enforcement, governmental leadership, emergency managers, and volunteer organizations. We participate and support through all phases of the disaster response. That would include prevention, mitigation, preparedness, response, and recovery. Our daily 24-hour emergency response staffing consists of 79 firefighters and officers, 19 fire stations with 38 frontline apparatus and 4 command vehicles. We're governed by the Santa Clara County Board of Supervisors, and the fire chief serves as the county's fire marshal and also provides management oversight for the county's Office of Emergency Management and 911 communication centers.
And I do want to give Michael a moment to see if he wants to add anything in terms of what the city attorney duties are in an emergency.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, Tina's correct. Row is mostly advisory to the city manager and to the council in terms of emergency, but separate from that, if in the event the EOC is activated, we also provide procurement, contracting, including mutual aid, advice and for agreements. And on top of that, most importantly, working with FEMA because the cost recovery aspect is significant as well.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments from the disaster council on this item?
A little bit, looking at the municipal code, with 2.40.090 mutual aid, and this might get into the first presentation that we had with regards to our policies. So it does say there, it's the purpose of the city council enacting the ordinance codified herein to facilitate the rendering of mutual aid. The purpose of the city, okay, and for the people of the city, emergency plans adopted and approved by the city council shall provide for the interchange of mutual aid and for coordination with the emergency plans. So I'm kind of wondering, and then reading this section for the city council, it says from the staff report, provides policy oversight of the city's emergency management program, adopts emergency management plans and ordinances. I don't see that this is codified. So where did this actually, just curious where this came from.
You're looking at the staff report language?
Yeah, because it sort of conflicts a little bit with the prior one with the policy where I was, or you could put it another way and say it supports my request that it would go to policies, would go to the council, rather than that there can be recommendations that are coming from the disaster council or the manager's office, but it would go to, it would get to the council.
So, Vice Chair,
Is that the section?
The mutual aid.
Yes, there's that, right, but I don't see a section, it's not codified what, the council's role is exactly, or is it? So I think when the policy packet comes back, that this
We need to clarify all of that.
yeah.
Go ahead.
So Doug Main with Wood O'Brien's. Good to see everybody here today. Thank you. Do I need to move up to the chair or is this fine?
If you don't
It
mind.
might be helpful for the microphone
Okay.
for those viewers at home.
Again, Doug Main with Wood O'Brien's. The plan should reflect what your code says and what your usage is. And if we have, and there are things that we have in the plan that are flat out wrong. I mean, I'll say that now because we're in the very first drafting stage. So the goal of getting this draft out was to receive comments back to say, well, this isn't how we do it. This is how it really works here. No, we don't do this, we do that, or yep, this is right, or hey, we didn't think about this and we should add this to our policies and procedures. So if there are things such as the role of the disaster council is to recommend changes, the role of the city council, for example, it's the city council is the approving authority for everything, for example, because in some locations it is. In other locations, it's the mayor alone if it's a strong executive, or they're split and it's laid out how they're split. So what, as part of the comment period that's coming back to us, and we're still in the comment period, right? We've asked for comments back. So as part of the comments, it's just outlining those things that we have erred on in this initial draft. And then as we work through the process, we will incorporate those. And there's probably, at least two more opportunities for clarification to come back as comments. So this is very much the beginning of the sausage making process. And we're just kind of lumping it all in. And you don't like fennel, so you're going to tell us, well, take that fennel out. And that's what we'll do. So it's that there is still opportunity over the next couple of months. We have 4 months, I think, till the end of October, if I'm doing my quick math right. So there is still opportunity to make sure that we get this as in line with the the code. Most importantly, we need to line up with what the law says or what the code says, and then with how you actually do things. And there might be that something might pop up that says, well, maybe we should change the code. Maybe this does make more sense to do things this way, or to split approvals, the normal approval process works during day-to-day operations, but it might be difficult to get a city council quorum and get the council together to approve certain things during disaster. So we're going to allow the city manager to make certain decisions that then either have to or might not have to be retroactively reviewed and approved by council. Oftentimes there's, money is done that way a lot of times where, they get the approval authority up to so much, and then after that it has to be this, or for the first 72 hours of a disaster, these approvals sit in these places, and then after that, it changes because now we can get the council together and we can do the review process. So our goal with this plan is to provide best practices but to make sure that we're not overwhelming Cupertino with officiousness, with needless policies and procedures, to strip it down as much as we can, but it has to reflect how you do business and how you want to do business. So that as part of the comment period, what we hope is to get some of that back that says, no, you got this wrong. This is right, but we do it this way. And that'll all come back, and Mike will do a great job of incorporating this. It'll all be Mike's fault. That's the bottom line. So this will come back. We'll put it back into the plan. We'll come back for comment. Justin is going to be a key person involved in this moving forward. As we tweak it, we'll tweak it. And by the time it's ready for approval at the council, it will be exactly what you guys need.
And to your point, Mayor, the code itself, and I'm going to come up here as the microphone's up here. If you feel that the code is unclear or is not providing the clarity that you need, this is also an opportunity to kind of look at those things and determine whether or not there needs to be a clarification or adjustment on that code.
Okay,
Yeah.
so will this get to, going back to the timeline, will this get to the council for the council feedback to happen? Because we're looking to find inconsistencies is coming from is actually more from our land use experience, where we've had inconsistencies between our general plan and our zoning. And so we've had to kind of get that mindset.
Right.
To basically look for it and then see, which one needs to be fixed and can we fix it? And it's,
Well,
yeah.
I believe we'll write the plan according to the code that exists. And if you want to make adjustments, there'll be adjustments that'll be made post that. You can do it when you do your additional review for the plan again.
If I may add to that, I think we can definitely agendize the draft EOP to go to full council if that's of interest.
Yeah, I don't want to be the only one looking at it because I know there's other council
Yeah.
members.
Yeah.
that we've
Oh, yeah.
been doing this for a
Most
while.
definitively, yes. Most definitively, the rest of the council members have an opportunity to review the plan.
Great.
The other thing I was going to add to this conversation, and that'll bring us back here, is maybe there's we preserve the policymaking function of council because that's paramount in this form of government. However, because we are talking emergencies, maybe there's a clarifying sentence or language that in case of a declared emergency, the city manager may make decisions around emergency management and then inform the full council, but not in the moment. Like I shouldn't be thinking about scheduling the next council meeting and ensuring quorum, but that only happens once, because there is an emergency ordinance that we can easily get council or mayor to sign for declaring an emergency, and then that takes place. Michael,
Yeah, so just flowing through 2.40.060, right? The city manager, who's going to be the director of emergency services, will consult with the city council to declare emergency. If the city council is not available, then within 7 days, she will bring it to the city council to ratify a declaration of the emergency. But of course, by the time we get there, hopefully all the good work everyone's doing, we will have policies in the plan that the city council has vetted, implemented. So hopefully we'll never have to, but when that situation arises, she will notify the council and boom, everything starts to get executed to respond.
I'm hoping at some point that perhaps the council will have a little bit of training on communications when there is a disaster, so that people don't go and say things that upset people, or get in the way demanding. So the cities association presentation they had a couple weeks ago was very good, talking about that. And you don't go to the fire chief and go demand, let me know what's going on. I'm a council member, tell me, it's like, no, step out of the way. Yeah, so that would also be.
Mayor, if I may, there's actually a course provided by the state specifically for that. It's called Director and Electeds. Gosh, I can't remember the exact title, but I can close the loop and get that over to you, because I can be frank, most in those positions don't want to engage that course or don't have the time. So hearing you talk about that is very refreshing. So I would love to see if we can maybe set something up for the city to Cupertino.
That would be great.
That would be great. And we also have a portion dedicated to just communications in our EOP, and we'll be doing those trainings for everybody later on what your role is in an emergency, including council. Great, thank you. Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Okay, I will now open the public comment period on this item. Do we have any requests to speak?
I see no requests, Chair.
Thank you. Our next item is citizen core report. I'd like to welcome Ben Erickson.
You got, oh, there's.
Oh, thank you. Oh, okay, thank you. All right, well, it's good to see everybody again. You're all doing well. Let's see, what I wanted to do is share with you what we use as a matrix to measure and monitor what we're doing is in the Citizen Corps, which is the affiliated volunteers for the city in the 3 different branches, and they comprise the Citizen Corps. It's the CERT branch, the amateur radio branch, CARES, and the medical reserve branch. So we have, since we don't have a medical facility within the city, we've developed a way to support the city for medical BLS level types of support in an event. So this is our summary of what we've done. It's sent out to everybody, but it shows basically how many volunteers. We're over 1,000 volunteers, and how we spend our time. This is for year to date since, through June. It does show all the trainings and activities, exercises, outreach, different types of events. But you also see that we also work outside of the city. So our people are working with the county, different cities for different types of events, because if something happens, we're all working together, and it's good for us all to know each other before something happens. This is a breakdown. As you know, the city is broken into 6 reporting zones. And this is the zone number and the number of affiliated volunteers in each one of those. And we had 14 new volunteers come on in this 6-month period. Okay. And our public education, this is a part of it. I know we'll take a lot of the materials and things that are used and presented, prepared by the fire department and other agencies and incorporate it into how do we use that within Cupertino. So our public education will be the monthly preparedness classes, which would go through a lot of the different things that prepare somebody to take care of themselves, their family, their neighborhood. How do they report their status or get access to resources if they need them? And what's Cupertino do that? How does that work within Cupertino, the resources? So that's what we have for here. One of the things that we do also is community events. Down here, we've got, we had 10 requested activations, and we'll go into what activations requested and auto activations are, but this is where we do a lot of the different events. We're going to have our 7th event coming up this Saturday, and the big fireworks show. And so we'll support that with the each of the viewing sites a first aid booth, a reunification point for lost parents or children or whomever. And that's an opportunity for us to work with, the medical support of it, first aid, but also communications back to the command post about what's the status of going at each of the sites. Communication going both ways. And then working with our partners, the fire, the sheriff, Parks and Rec, Public Works, all of those people are working together. And this is another opportunity for us to be as a team, work and meet each other. And in a real emergency, it's not the first time that we see each other. But we also have a steering committee. It's 7 leader volunteers. And we meet every month and we come up with the different things while we do our marketing, the outreach, what are the processes and things that we need to review and update, training. We do operate as a department operating center when we're activated. So that's something that we do so that we manage all of the resources and activities and things that we need to do for the Citizen Corps. So that's what we use to measure and monitor our activities. Okay. And I want to share say thank you everybody for saying what you share your department and what you do, because that is kind of what this is. It fits right into it. But we have a volunteer management annex, and in there it talks about how and what we do with volunteers, how we manage them, all that type of thing. But this is our capabilities appendix. These are the things that we've gone through and we've got identified our auto activation procedures and processes like standing orders. These are the things we can do and been authorized to do. And that's what Disaster Council approves at the beginning of the year, our activations. So on the back of each one of our volunteers' ID cards, it says auto activation is only when items fall off the shelf. So that's their code to go into activation mode. So these are the different things that we have. Oop, if I can get it to go up, maybe a little bigger. So auto activation, these are the things that we're going to do once something falls off the shelf. Okay. And depending on what we need to do, we have all of this laid out so that we can go ahead and do this and we don't have to worry and try to find and get approval for something. Okay, so I'll kind of show you what it does, but as you can see, we become more of the eyes and the ears in the neighborhood and be able to report the status of what's going on back to the city. If I can, there we go. And then our requested activations, these are the different things that would be like the 4th of July support. We also do a thing which is the specific situation monitoring. This is along with the evacuation things. We do have an element in there that we can keep an eye on specific things and be able to report the status if it's a civic disobedience or if it's a Amber Watch, as fires are progressing or doing something like that. So we have those types of things. But what I wanted to show is how it rolls out. If something happens, the public is going to start doing what they're going to do. They're going to take care of themselves. And this is our ideal situation. Everybody knows how to take care of themselves, their family, their home, their neighborhood. And we know that the response times for resources is going to be hours to days, and so with that goes on, everybody's going to start trying to take care of themselves, and hopefully we do it safely and we've got enough people trained to do that. When the citizen corps are activated, it starts right at the beginning. We established the supervisory component, which is the DOC, Department Operations Center, to be able to oversee all the activity and make sure that what we do is all coordinated. We will start off an emergency network, which is the amateur radio, to bring that up as we need it. We will start a Mike report. This is a modified Mercalli scale that we use to get information from all of our amateur radio people. They bring this up And it's part of everybody's training in their activation handbooks about what they do and what it means. And anything over a certain number calls out the severity of it. We're able to get that information back to the city, but also we run that back to the county because that's part of the county protocol is all 15 cities are doing the same thing to give a heads up to the county. We will all start doing our infrastructure safety assessments throughout the neighborhoods. And we're going to be looking at roads, at critical facilities and things that we've identified and the neighborhoods and be able to get the information back, which is basically the safety assessment and damage assessment information that we use from the FEMA training and CERT. It's talking about injuries, structural, utilities, access, and what we need to know, because that's the kind of information, once we get it back to you in the city, you'll know what's going on in the city with what and how, if we're going to bring emergency vehicles in, which directions in the neighborhood's going to tell us what's available. We do follow the same activation level as the city and the county activation levels, so that we can support what we need to do. But also, if we need to go into the medical support, either if we're standing up a shelter and we're supplementing the medical support for a shelter, the psychological support for a site or an event, we've gone through the Red Cross trainings and different things. So this is what we would expect to happen in an auto activation with any spectrum of this, depending on what's needed. Okay. And each one of these things that we use, to give you an idea of how it's set up. If we're going to set up the emergency net, it says, what is it? So we've shared this with the city, so you know what is it that we're doing? How is it going to be used by whom? Who does it? What would be the event that triggers it? At what time period? It's an auto activation. What is the insurance coverage for the liability for the residents? The DSWVP program is what we use through the state. And what is the training? And what are the specific skills that are needed? So for each one of these capabilities that we do, we've got this laid out. So it tells us what we need to do, how to do it, and safely. And then at the end, if something ever happens, we said, this is what we've done. This is how we protect ourselves and the volunteers, so that we can accomplish these different capabilities that we might need over time. Okay. So if you shared yours, this I want to share ours. So that's perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ken. Are there any questions or comments from the disaster council?
Chair, I just want to note that the handbooks that Ken referenced and the procedures and checklists are all available on the city website, on the citizen core page under the emergency manager page, website umbrella.
Thank you.
I'm curious how the handbook came about, that you were sharing.
Yeah, we have a number of these that are available. One is the ARC, Citizen Core ARC Activation Handbook. And this really tells everybody, what do you need to do, from take care of yourself, take care of your family, take care of your neighborhood, do your assessment and report. You kind of start off with this, and then because we have people doing their Go kits and that type of thing, and we wanted them to put this into their Go kit so they know exactly what to do and how to do it. We have the 6 reporting sites within the city. In this handbook is the top-down view of the site, because a lot of our reporting sites aren't necessarily at the street address. They might be on a campus of something at the northeast corner. So it tells you more of the details of what to do and how to get there if you are deployed to one of these sites. Okay, so that is our contact info, our activation handbook. We do one for communications, because it's kind of key for all of our folks when they do the reporting of their status. We used to use this quite a bit and rely on it and still use it, but it was where you take and physically go to the reporting site with your report. But we've developed a radio network with GMRS and FRS radio to be able to send that information without physically having to go to a reporting site, which is a lot safer for everybody. And there's a manual for that, a handbook for that. And then we have one that is for the amateur radio people. And how do they get started? What do they need to do from basic, how do you turn on your radio? A little refresher on how do you pass a message, and the frequencies and things that we use within the city.
So did we use a consultant to put this booklet together for its original edition, and then you've been updating it, or was it fully made in-house?
This is all in-house.
Interesting. Okay, so I did take the whole packet and run it through Claude AI for comments, and it said ours is frankly more detailed and operationally specific than anything I found published by Saratoga, Los Gatos, or Sunnyvale. So kudos.
That could be good or bad. I don't know. We just made it really heavy to pick up. Okay, thank you.
I had a question just quickly.
Yeah,
So just if you could, maybe I missed it, clarify, how does the communication of the auto activation process and communication of what's happening roll up? How does that get communicated in the event of an auto activation, whether that's considered a large scale emergency or a small scale?
Right. Yeah. So let's say if it's an earthquake in that scenario, and the criteria is things falling off the shelf, if it falls off the shelf and we've got, the whole city, not all areas in the city may be affected. And so what we do with that is we want everybody to, one, turn on their radios at 1670 AM. So that's the way that we're going to broadcast, and we use that in our exercises and in training. So everybody's trained to go use that. Also, we're trained to use the Quick Capture app, which we use, and we used in the last exercise. We had some 57 different reports or something that came up, so that we're getting that information to the city. The other part of it is the communications from the field to the city. That's where our amateur radio group really comes into play. And we have the communications vehicle. We use 469. So we're kind of the custodians of it, and Fleet keeps that all going for us. And it's an amazing vehicle that does a center for all of our communications within the city, and it's mobile, so we can go wherever this command post might be or whatever we need to do. And then, so that's how that basic information starts to roll out. The mic reports, those things will start in the first hour. Okay, so we'll get that information in the dock and in the communications vehicle and in that, and then we need to find a way to share that. Okay, and who needs to know it? How do we get it to that person? I'm looking at you, Tina. Okay, and if you're on vacation, but that's the thing that we want to be able to get that in. So we look forward to more exercises and things where we work and integrate that together, because we've got a lot of information that comes in that you need to know about how and what level we might activate, what types of things we need, what planning things we need to be working into, and with our partners too, with Public Works, because depending on the time and the hour, might have different resources available.
Yeah, thank you. And my understanding is that as we develop in the EOP, we're meeting with all of these groups to understand who's communicating at what frequency and where, so we can all be connected. So thank you, Ken.
Okay, thank you.
I will now open the public comment period. Clerk, do we have any requests to speak?
I see no requests, Chair.
Thank you. And with that, our next item is the block leader coordinator reports. I would like to welcome Marsha Drown, block leader coordinator, for this presentation.
Hello. I'm going to try and keep this short. I know we're coming up on time. My name is Marta Drown. I've been with the city since 2022. Part of the way that I was onboarded was with the understanding that city council wanted to see the block leader program improved. both in terms of strengthening it, but also defining it a little bit better. And we could go to, okay. So the basic idea behind the block leader program originally was, how do we get neighbors to recognize each other, to know each other? I kind of joke at onboarding, I don't need block leaders to be best friends with everyone on their street. Just if your car breaks down and evacuation got called, are you comfortable enough with your neighbors to ask for help? With the move to the Office of Emergency Management, there has been a more emergency preparedness focus in the program. And I'll go into that in a little bit. Meetings are held quarterly. Topics are chosen based both on feedback we've received from program participants, but also current initiatives that the city is promoting or is exploring. So every year we have the year-end report from the sheriff's office, always very popular. And then about this time last year, we had a presentation on the active transportation plan because we knew that feedback was needed for that. We've also worked with the Fire Safe Council to give some information specifically there about home hardening. And the sustainability department. So you can see I try and pull from as many sources as possible because I want these meetings and the information given in them to be useful to the residents, not only to block leaders, but also for them to be a point of contact with their neighbors, that I don't need them to know the exact building code. I would love if someone said, oh, I'm planning on completely redoing my house and thank God I don't need a permit. That a block leader who has been to a presentation given by the building department can say, no, respectfully, yes, you do need a permit. So I'm not demanding expertise. This is not a full-time job for any of the volunteers, but I do want to capture the engagement that we already see from some residents and kind of funnel it a little bit better. The volunteer directory is something that came about from volunteer feedback. In the past, there was a map that showed essentially where block leaders lived. And what I heard from block leaders was they were very uncomfortable with having their personal information open to the public like that. So instead, the directory is opt-in. And it is only shared within the program. It's actually kept on our volunteer management portal that volunteers have to log in for to really respect the privacy of all of our block leaders, but while still giving them a way to reach out to someone who lives maybe a neighborhood over and say, hey, I noticed that you're having a 4th of July event. So are we. Let's work together. Or, hey, I noticed that you did a really good job on holding an event. Can I talk to you and learn a bit more? Some volunteers have chosen to use the volunteer directory to create a group chat. I'm not involved in that, partially because what we heard from the city attorney's office at the time was there was the possibility of Public Record Act requests applying to that group chat if city staff was involved. And because I wanted that to be a place for block leaders to be able to communicate with each other very openly, we let that stay with the block leaders, but also just because the requirements for content moderation just weren't feasible. Neighborhood events, probably the biggest thing is I think we've all heard of the Cupertino block parties. For those of you who are a little bit less familiar, residents can request a permit that will shut down a residential street, and they can have an event, a block party in the street. originally, that was the only instance counted as a community event, which is a requirement for block leaders. So we got two pieces of feedback from that. One, it just isn't feasible for everyone to do a block party every year. And two, not everyone wants to do a block party every year. So we took two different approaches with that. One is the block party grant, and that was a special project under council, I believe. I'm messing up the term, but it was a special.
Yes, they allocated $10,000.
Yes. And that is continuing on. We have had some people already use this grant. It's been really great. We had one neighborhood purchase one of those parachute things because the block leader had great memories of doing that 10 years ago with the neighbors and wanted to bring that back. We also had folks use that to buy food for events, just to defray the cost a little bit. The block party grant, I've tried to make it not easy necessarily, but not onerous for the block leaders. So it was essentially, what is the event? Why would you like to use this money? And how does it benefit the neighborhood? And that's something that I try and come back to with the block leaders is, if you're asking me if you can do something, step one, how does it benefit the community? And if it only benefits 3 people, we need to have a bigger conversation, right? But for folks who said, for my community event, I don't want to do a block party, I'm not interested, we then started looking at alternatives. So using the grant funding from the neighbor to neighbor from the Office of the Governor, we purchased basic supplies for emergency kits, as well as the backpacks. And so we have Build-A-Kit events that a block leader will bring the neighbors together. And then I, and sometimes Ken, will come out, we'll give the basic preparedness of here's what to expect, here's a little bit of a peek behind the curtain of what's going on. But then also, how do people individually at the household level and at the neighborhood level create a plan that's actually going to work for them? Put together a kit that's actually going to work for them. One of the things that I always bring up, and I do have my mom's permission to tell this story, is, you need documentation, right? So my mom was like, oh, Marta, I have my birth certificate, I have my driver's license, we're good. And I go, Mama, that's great. Those are from 2 different countries. And so that's the sort of conversation that we're having at these Build-A-Kit events is, everyone has unique experiences. How is that going to impact what you need to be safe? And yeah. This is a heat map of the block leaders in Cupertino. So as I mentioned before, we did have a different map that looked maybe a little bit more detailed. This helps preserve the privacy of block leaders, but also the previous map had a sort of, these are the homes that this block leader has claimed as part of the block. What we found with that, it was great, but as soon as we put the map together, someone had moved out, someone had moved in, someone had stepped away, and the map was almost immediately out of date. And that's not the kind of thing that we want to have on the city's website. We want to be able to stand behind what we are putting there. So this map, by focusing just on where the block leaders are, while still preserving their privacy, is the route that we went instead. Residents can, this map is available on the city website. Residents can search their address, and they will be told if there is a block leader within, I believe it's a quarter mile, is the automatic setting, but it can be adjusted. And then the resident would be prompted to reach out to me to be connected to the block leader, again, so that I'm not just putting a bunch of block leaders' email addresses just on the city website. So, okay, So, Neighborhood Watch, is in partnership with the sheriff's office. It also based off of guidance that I received from council, I want to say 2023, was how can we find a way to retain people who were part of the block leader program, but weren't quite as active, who maybe wanted to receive the information that they get in the bi-monthly newsletters, but maybe weren't able to come to a meeting every year. They weren't able to hold an event every year. So we kind of took that and adjusted the Neighborhood Watch program to be both Neighborhood Watch, but also the folks who were taking a little bit of a step back from the block leader program. And we call it that the informational only volunteers. So we've had a lot of success with the Neighborhood Watch program. We've had a lot of people start their blocks as a block leader through the Neighborhood Watch program. And the Neighborhood Watch presentation does also count as a community event. So for a lot of people, it's a really easy way to start. I will say National Night Out will be August 4th. I'm closing the registration tomorrow. So far, we already have 20 folks registered, which is actually up from last year. So I'm very excited about that. If we can go to the program postcard. One of the other bits of feedback that I received both from volunteers and from council was that the program needed to be promoted more, that there just wasn't enough name recognition among the general community. So we put together a postcard. Yeah, it's fine. On one side was Neighborhood Watch. On the other side was the Block Leader Program and QR codes to go to the web pages with basic information about each. These are at City Hall, at Community Hall. They are at the Sports Center and at the library. They were at Quinlan, but I just found out that they ran out. So I'll be dropping off some more. But this is partially to have just a quick pointer of, hey, what exactly is the Block Leader Program? Why should I care? But also to build the familiarity. And like I said, the other side, there we go, is Neighborhood Watch. Interestingly, because Neighborhood Watch just has that little bit more name recognition, usually I'll flip the card so Neighborhood Watch is facing out to get people to pick it up and hopefully flip it over. One of the other tools that we have, do you want to do the Hello Neighbor? The Hello Neighbor. This is a tool that we have for block leaders. It's a door hanger. There's both the Hello Neighbor for residents who, for block leaders who are starting a block, and Welcome Neighbor, which welcomes someone who has moved in recently. On the back, there's a little bit of information about the program. There is the QR code I believe the QR code to get, yes, for the Cupertino 311 and for Alert SCC. But the really important thing is, I'm really sorry to go back to the other side, is giving a place that block leaders can leave these door hangers while still leaving a way for people to contact them. So it's not just, well, I tried, I knocked on the door, no one answered. It's leaving that little bit. And then if we could do the alert and warning. And finally, a lot of block leaders were interested in alert and warning. This is also something I heard working with the Public Safety Commission, was how do we get more people signed up for Alert SCC? What exactly is Genesis even? So we started with these. How can we warn you if we can't reach you? These were little business card sized, just a little bit of information. The feedback that we got from the Public Safety Commission was they're just too small for people to read. So we came back with, if we go down one page, Yay. Okay. With something with this, that has, first of all, both Alert SCC and Genesis, while also giving information, because in emergency management, we'll say, oh, evacuation order, evacuation warning. And one of the things that I hear a lot from block leaders is, can we tone down the jargon? So on the other side of this is the definition of what exactly is an evacuation warning, what is an evacuation order, what does that mean for you as a resident? And that is all I have. Oh, sorry. And these are available at City Hall, Community Hall, Quinlan Sports Center, the library, and the Senior Center.
Thank you, Martha. And as all of you are aware, so we did a listening session for the block leader program a few months ago, and we've been trying to take a more comprehensive look at this program to enhance participation and membership. So you're seeing some of the improvements and all of the new additions to this, to the creative thinking around this program, and we'll also be issuing information on memo to council later in the year. So with that, I'm going to open up for any questions or comments from the disaster council.
I thought it was a great presentation. I am wondering if there are some policies for the block leaders, because we're moving into election season and they need to be reminded. And I know that some block leaders have not followed this, to not use it as a platform for politicking.
Yeah, so in the onboarding, it is made very clear that as a block leader, you are serving the community. You are not serving your personal, political, or financial interests. We are working on an updated handbook that spells policies like that more clearly. But despite this being a 20-year-old program, that had simply never come up before. And so it wasn't in the handbook. But we are, with the city manager and the deputy city manager's advice, updating the handbook and getting more specific and granular.
That would be great. And if not just to get the information to the actual block leader, but so that the people that are in that particular neighborhood with that block leader, that they know that what they should be getting for information from their block leader, that would also help. Because some might not know that at this time. Great, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, I will now open the public comment period. But do we have any requests to speak?
There are no requests, Chair.
Thank you. With that, we are moving on to our final item, which is selecting the date for the special disaster council meeting to review the revised or final draft of the emergency operation plan. Is there any discussion from the disaster council?
So Chair, I just want to let you know, as our consultants have noted, that the full disaster council draft will come back to the disaster council once it's passed through the Public Safety Commission. And so we would request that either the council select a special meeting date now, or staff can select the date and then notify the council when that is happened.
So it's gonna have a stuff regular
as a draft.
So public safety, then council, then
disaster council, then back to council for final adoption.
Okay.
We'd like to do it this year. Because again, shelf life of BOPs is typically 5 years. So if we can try to come up with a tentative date, that would be great if we can vote on that.
Chair, if it helps, the next Public Safety Commission meeting is going to be July 9th and then September 11th and then November. I tell you, it's the second Thursday.
Do you have any preference, July 9th or September 11th?
It's the 10th. Oh, sorry, yeah.
Most likely, because you're gonna want to count, I believe you want to cancel October, right? City council.
Yes, but we may need to go twice to council, one to
Okay.
the draft and one for the
Yeah. I would say October or
September. So it's September, so it'll be after that, we take it to full council. And then after that, we're looking at the disaster council. So maybe disaster council date could be sometime in October. if we target the city council final adoption on the 20th, Vice Chair, then the disaster council should be sometime before that.
Okay. Are we gonna, do we need a special meeting like of its own that's in an off week?
Yeah, we could do that because it's during working hours anyway.
Okay, so we'll need to hold council.
Oh, for the full council? Mm, okay, maybe we can talk about, so maybe we don't select a date just yet, because there may be different things we want to discuss, so. We will get back to the selected meeting date and not vote today. And staff will schedule the meeting and notify the disaster council after a suitable date is selected. And with that, if there's no further business, this meeting is now adjourned. Thank you all for your time and participation. Have a great afternoon.
Thank you. Thank you.